Mr. Kendall, I told you before to stick to the thing you know. You're the first officer of the Tangmar, and as such you have no right to query any movement of mine. At 6 this morning, I was minding my own business. It's now just after 9 p.m., and I suggest you do the same. Good night.
Passage of the Tangmar. The story of a ship and its cargo of death.
So that's his game, is it? Well, if you don't want the Major to know that you're with Interpol, you better bring him to see me, Kendall. As captain of the Tangmar, I've a right to know exactly what that ex-brass hat thinks he's playing at.
Captain Goddard was even angrier than I was myself. But in the back of my mind, I couldn't help feeling that Challoner was innocent. The Major's cold-blooded determination to arrive in Jamaica and collect his share of the Wherryman fortune impressed me more than anything else. I couldn't see him prejudicing that by murdering anyone. To him, with years of half pay to remember, a sixth and now a fourth share of $1 million would be money enough. I was with the skipper in his cabin and leafing through the pages of the Wherryman will as he paced up and down, his teeth clicking almost like castanets on the stem of his worn briar.
Well, what are you waiting for, Kendall? Go and fetch Major Challoner in here.
Let's go through this will first, Captain.
While that murderer moves freely on my ship? Are you out of your mind, Kendall?
It won't take more than a moment or two. Plenty of time to get Challoner. After all, he can't go anywhere. Listen.
You said that the will looked perfectly straightforward.
It was very good of Brancher, and Smith to go to all this trouble.
Will you please get Challoner in here, or do I have to go after him myself?
Hey, Skipper, take it easy. He'll be here.
How do you know?
To complain of my impertinence, I should think.
Oh.
Can't see him missing an opportunity like that. It's the thing that's fascinated me all along with this case.
What?
The reason that Victor Wherryman chose these 6 people to inherit his money.
Has it got it there?
Yes. Listen. This is the last will and testament of me, Victor Arkwright Wherryman, etc., etc. I hereby revoke all other wills and testaments, so on. Now, here it is. That my estate should be divided evenly between the following 6 people. And then he lists them. Major Challoner, Miss Federoff, Ben Miller, Edwin Tucker, spelt Tucker here, Dr. Lawler, and Slavin.
Well, why did he choose these people? If you know... Come in. Oh, Major Challoner. I've been waiting for you.
I thought you might be. I understand that Mr. Kendall here has been tipped off, shall I call it, that I had something to do with the death of Miller.
Now, you listen to me, Challoner. I'm becoming just a little tired of your high and mighty attitude. You may think you're slumming by being aboard my ship, but while you're aboard, you'll behave yourself. Mr. Kendall has my permission to ask any questions he thinks fit. I want this whole business cleared up. Now, where were you at 6 this morning?
I see I wasted my time in coming here, Captain Goddard.
Do you
once more,
I've got nothing more to do than listen to your complaints? I take it you came to report Kendall?
Yes.
Well, I'm not interested. Mr. Kendall is acting under my instructions.
Even when he says that I may well finish this voyage in the brig?
Yes, Major Challoner.
Very well, gentlemen. I'm obviously holding an untenable position. I had a very good reason for being out of my cabin this morning, and it was not the reason you seem to think. I did not kill Miller, just as I did not kill Peter Slavin.
Then what were you doing this morning?
You'd have made a first-rate drill sergeant, Captain. Since you insist, I left my cabin because I heard the sound of 2 people running in the corridor outside. Looking back, it's probable that one was Miller. Anyway, I got up and opened the door, but then, of course, they'd gone past. So I went up on deck for a moment.
In spite of your intention not to become involved in anything that might prevent you reaching Jamaica.
Good point. But at that moment, I didn't think there was anything to become involved in. I was curious, that's all. I suppose I was out of my cabin for, 10 minutes?
And you didn't see anything on deck that looked suspicious?
Not a thing.
Did you see anyone who can back up your story?
Not a soul. But then I didn't look in the direction of the boat deck.
They were men's feet that ran past your cabin, huh?
I should say so. Well, do we head for the brig now?
No, Major.
Well, if you don't mind, I'll go back to my cabin. Oh, and Kendall, the next time my daughter tries to get me accused of murder, I'd suggest you remember that she has very good reason to hate me. Good night.
I wonder how the devil he worked that out. That Miss Challoner passed on the information that he wasn't in his cabin when Miller was killed.
I'm wondering why that devil you don't arrest him. Hang it, old Kendall. That's about the weakest alibi I've heard.
And that's why I believe it, because it sounds weak.
Oh, I'll go back to the bridge. Do the job I understand. Let me know if anything turns up, Kendall.
Well, Sharon, don't look so alarmed. I merely wanted to make sure you were safe.
I don't feel like talking, Father.
No, I imagine not. Why did you tell Dr. Lawler that I wasn't in my cabin this morning? Or am I wrong?
Couldn't we talk in the morning?
No. Now. Well, why?
Because I'd gone to Dr. Lawler to find out what was going on. You wouldn't tell me anything. And then when he mentioned 6 o'clock as the time of the murder, I just couldn't stop myself.
Or wouldn't. Sharon, if anything happened to me, you'd be pretty well off. Isn't that what you think?
Father.
It is natural enough to assume that I should leave everything to you. And of course, by seeing that I was accused of murder, you'd get it all that much quicker, wouldn't you?
How can you talk like that? Do you honestly think that I... Oh, it's horrible.
Yes, isn't it? But just in case you're ever tempted to try anything like that again, remember one thing. My share of the Wetterman estate will never pass to you, Sharon. So thinking up ways of getting rid of me is rather pointless. Good night, my dear. Pleasant dreams. Pleasant dreams.
But for Pete's sake, man, everything points to the guy. He's not in his cabin when the murder takes place. He's on deck tonight when you were attacked. Just how much proof do you want?
Listen, Lee, all right, so I arrest the Major. Then if my theory is correct, I'm merely inviting the real killer to pick his time and place again.
What? Well, how do you work that out?
Well, I'll tell you, if he was confined in the brig, I think Major Challoner would be the next on the list.
Well, of all the cockeyed hunches...
I don't think so. Supposing our killer is a member of the crew, at some time he'd be bound to draw guard duty on the brig, and he'd be alone with the Major. You see?
Yeah, but I thought you decided that one of the passengers must be guilty.
Well, they're the obvious suspects, Lee.
Well, I don't figure it at all. Here you are, going out of your way to protect a man who'd stand by and let you be knifed rather than raising a finger.
That's mainly the reason. The Major told me himself, nothing is going to stop him reaching Jamaica. The man who's been on half pay for years, $600,000 is a peak. He doesn't want more.
But he's getting it now, isn't he? $250,000?
And so are the others. Ilona Fedorov and the doctor and our convicted prisoner, Edwin Tuker.
Well, for my money, you can write him off. I've never known a poisoner to use a knife.
It wasn't Tuker who attacked me on deck.
That's what I'd like to know. Why were you attacked?
Well, in the darkness, I could have been mistaken for someone else. But I can't escape the feeling it's because the man with the knife knows I'm on his trail.
Knows you're from Interpol, is that what you mean?
Yes.
But only Goddard and myself know that.
Well, that's what I thought until now, but supposing we were wrong. A murderer has a sixth sense about a man on his trail. Faced with a month at sea, he might have decided to get me before I get the evidence to convict him.
Well, I guess I'd better stay pretty close to you, Dirk, just in case.
You won't be watching me any more carefully than I will myself, but thanks anyway. I found out one thing tonight, Lee.
Huh? What?
I had the wireless operator contact Jamaica. I got the details of the Wetterman will from Brancher and Smith. I know why the old boy chose these 6 people.
But we know about Dr. Lawler and the Major.
Yes. They're the only 2 who remember Wetterman, and their stories are true. Lawler did operate on Wetterman in England, and the Major did meet him in India.
Uh-huh. And the others?
Well, listen. To Mr. Ben Miller, who probably will not recall ever meeting me, I leave a sixth share of my estate for the following reason. Traveling in 1937 from Bathurst to Sydney by car, I met the above-named gentleman who was, to use the correct term, humping the bluey. I gave him a lift, and as we traveled, he stole my wallet. Shortly afterwards, the car broke down, and due to Mr. Miller's mechanical ability, we were able to resume our journey. I was so gratified that I told Miller he could keep the wallet, which he then handed back, saying that if he was that easy to pick, he was in the wrong line of business. My admiration for Ben Miller stems from that moment, and since his pride in his artistry was greater than his desire for my wallet, I leave him enough to obviate any necessity to steal again. Signed, Victor Wherryman.
And now Miller's dead?
The amateur, he called himself. He only had to reach Jamaica alive to be on Easy Street for the rest of his life.
Well, it's no good blaming yourself, Dick.
No. I fell into a trap, Lee. I didn't think the killer would strike so soon. I was caught off guard, and Ben Miller paid the price. You know, when I find that murderer, it's going to be pretty hard to remember that Colonel Hacking wants him alive. I had the details of Victor Wherryman's will in front of me, and almost a month in which to trap a murderer who'd outwitted me all along the line in this passage of the Tangmar.